towards becoming a cashless nation today. From this morning, anyone who wants to take a bus in London will have to use contactless debit cards or smart cards. 3.5 million journeys are made on the buses in the capital every day, and no one will be able to pay with coins. Well, Ewan Ogilvy is the Managing Director of Your Cash in the UK and Europe. Good morning to you. Thanks for coming in. It's a great idea, isn't it? It'll speed things up. You won't have to rummage around for those loose coins.
I think that's what people would say about it. Our concern is it's removing choice. So I think the vast majority of people do use the methods already that you've described. I think 99% of people use contactless or their Oyster card. However, that still means that there's 24 million journeys a year where people are using cash, and they won't be able to do that from today onwards.
So from your perspective, it removes choice, but we are, in many areas of life, moving towards a cashless society, aren't we?
I think that's untrue. If you read certain articles, it will say that, but nevertheless, if you look at the statistics from last year, £260 billion of retail payments were made. That by far and away the largest method that people still paid. 52% of payments in the UK last year were by cash, and the figure's even more stark if you look across the globe, where 85% of payments are still made in cash.
But you're always going to speak up for cash, aren't you? Because you install and maintain cash machines.
You would expect me to be pro-cash, and of course I am. However, really what we're trying to push forward is customer choice, and not to force people down a certain route. I think if you look back a few years, people would have talked about us moving towards a paperless society, and we all know that that's never happened. But people continue to use different methods of, whereas they used to perhaps read a book, they'd then go on an e-reader now, or they'd use their smartphone. So there are other methods available to them, so they have a choice. I think what we're saying is that people should still be allowed that choice and not forced down a certain route.
How does cash influence your sort of purchasing decisions? Do you think people budget in a different way if they've got sort of hard notes and coins in their pocket than if they've just got the plastic?
So the research will show you that people are far less likely to buy an impulse if they're using cash, because they can physically see themselves being parted from their money, whereas if you're actually using plastic or other methods, you have a sort of day of reckoning later on down the line when the bills arrive or when you check your account. So we do see cash as being an excellent form of budgeting, a budgeting tool, and so we see people, using that as a way of controlling how much they spend.
One of the problems I always find is that if you've got, say, a travel card, an Oyster card in London or whatever else you use throughout the country, and you've also got your cards in your wallet, then you could swipe both and actually be charged more than once or something like that for a journey, say if you're on a bus and the like. So I suppose that's one of the problems, isn't it, of using plastic all the time, is that there's more potential fraud and the like that could go on.
I would agree with that. I think there are some things still to sort out from a technology point of view, and
older people as well in particular.
Very much
yeah,
so.
Feel very vulnerable, if they're constantly being told they can't use their pennies and they've got to use their plastic.
But I don't think it's just a generation thing. People will say, well, the younger generation will be more happy to move down the contactless route. But if you look at our ATMs, one of the areas where we see highest transaction levels is universities. For the very reason you mentioned, in terms of budgeting, a student can take £10 or £20 out and know that, well, that's got to last them a certain amount of time.
Well, Ewan, thank you very much for coming in, sharing your expertise. I'm like the Queen, I never have cash.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.